Welcome back to GB News. You're watching the Camilla Tominey Show. I'm delighted to be joined now by Paymaster General Nick Thomas-Symonds, MP for Torfaen. Lovely to see you this morning, Minister. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. Can we discuss this story on the Sunday Times about Keir Starmer breaching parliamentary rules by failing to declare that Lord Ali bought his wife, Lady Victoria, high-end clothes? This is following a donation from Lord Ali towards Keir Starmer's own wardrobe and indeed spectacles. Can't the Starmers afford to buy their own clothes?
Well, firstly, Camilla, very good to join you on your show this Sunday. In respect of this, firstly, well, look, around the world, if you go to different countries, in America, for example, there's a specific budget that is made available there to the President and the First Lady to make sure that they look their very best when they are representing that country on the world stage. Could I just refer specifically to what you're saying about the declaration? I mean, this is hardly a case of things being hidden. On the contrary, actually, the Prime Minister was attempting to be transparent. Advice was sought on coming to office as to what was appropriate to donate. The advice was followed, but that advice was then doubted. Further interrogation took place. That was, I understand it, earlier this month. And now that additional declaration will be made. It's not a case of hiding.
I know, but he's late to... Hang on, though. Let's be honest. Isn't Keir Starmer very much a man who is a stickler for the rules? As he constantly reminds us, he was the former Director of Public Prosecutions. In fact, during Wallpaper Gate, which is still fresh in the memory, in April 2021, he said to the then Prime Minister Boris Johnson that he should be aware of the rules, that he should know that he has to declare any loans or credit arrangements or any donations to his political activities within 28 days. 28 days, Prime Minister, yes. He will know that any donation must be recorded in the Register of Ministers' Interests and that under any law, any donation of over £500 to a political party must be registered and declared. So the rules are very clear, said Keir Starmer. So why doesn't Keir Starmer know the rules if he thinks that his predecessors should have known them?
Well, firstly, there's absolutely no comparison between Partygate and what happened there with Boris Johnson. And
Wallpaper Gate. Donations to wallpaper. It's no different than donations to wardrobes.
Well, come on, it wasn't just about wallpaper, was it? I think we can both agree
that it was in this case.
That isn't the only scandal.
No, but I'm saying about Keir Starmer referred to Wallpaper Gate. He said on Wallpaper Gate alone, the Prime Minister should know the rules. So on Wardrobe Gate, if we can call it that, the current Prime Minister should know the rules.
Well, he did know the rules about 28 days, and that's why, when he came to office, he sought advice immediately about what to declare, followed that advice, but then doubted it, subsequently interrogated it, again sought out further advice, and has now made the declaration. But that's twice actively seeking out advice as to what the appropriate declaration should be.
Why does a former lawyer earning a six-figure salary need Lord Ali to pay for his glasses and his suits and his wife's dresses? Have you ever allowed another man to buy your wife dresses?
No, not that I'm aware of, Camilla, no. But in terms of being the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom and being the Prime Minister's spouse, I think we would agree, we would want them to look at their very best of whatever political party they were on the world stage.
Yeah, but this was when he was in opposition partially as well, wasn't it? These donations came in before he was Prime Minister. And then, to make it even more worrying, you've then got Lord Ali having been given this number 10 pass. Why else would he have been given this pass if it wasn't as a thank you for some of these cash gifts?
Well, to your first point, when the Prime Minister was the leader of the opposition, he's still holding a senior public political office, and obviously he was aspiring to be the Prime Minister and to represent our country on the world stage. To your second point, Lord Ali is a self-made millionaire. He's a long-standing donor. It's a matter of public record to the Labour Party. But he's someone who's been a member of the House of Lords since 1998, has a substantial record of public service in that time, over 25 years in the House of Lords, and was, as I understand it, given a pass for a short period of a few weeks for the transition. But he is somebody who's been in our Parliament for over a quarter of a century.
I mean, I'm somebody who's on television every week. I pay for all of my dresses myself. I don't quite understand this. And I think the public will look at it and think that it's hypocritical, because in the same week or two, we've had news that the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, who earns £160,000, has claimed £3,700 back over the last 5 years to pay the energy bills at her constituency home in Leeds. You've got Lord Ali giving the Starmers thousands of pounds worth of clothes and spectacles, while you're taking the winter fuel payment from almost 1 million pensioners. Doesn't seem right.
Well, on the issue about, when you're talking there about the Chancellor, would apply to all MPs who operate in two different places.
Should it? Should it apply if you're taking that money away from pensioners?
Well, hang on. Let's just take this in stages. There was the expenses scandal 15, 16 years ago, and then independently it's been looked at. What is appropriate? What do members of Parliament need to function? Obviously, where you would live, you obviously wouldn't have fuel payments for where you live, but it's where you have a second property, and that's been what's been deemed independently reasonable for our Parliament, our MPs to function. And it's policed independently now, and I think that's really, really important. But to your point about winter fuel and the means testing of winter fuel payments, that isn't a decision we wanted to make. It isn't a decision we expected to make. It's a decision we've had to make in the circumstances in which we find ourselves.
Well, you've made the decision.
£21.9 billion. If we do not deal with that black hole, and this is not a future theoretical thing in this financial year, these are choices.
These are all choices, aren't they? I mean, Rishi Sunak was right to say to the Prime Minister, I think in Prime Minister's questions last week and the week before, you've made a choice. You've decided to stop the winter fuel allowance, but you are going to give train drivers who are already on 60 grand a year a pay rise. That's a political choice.
We've made a political choice that we have to fill this black hole. And if we don't fill this black hole, then the economy and the stability of the economy will be at risk. That is why.
I suppose the problem is
just to make this clear, there was a different
from the perspective of the public, though. This isn't very Labour. This idea of the Starmers taking thousands in clothes and spectacles, the Chancellor claiming back her fuel bill. I know that all MPs can do it, while pensioners are stripped of their allowance. I mean, none of this feels like it represents good old-fashioned Labour working-class values. That's the problem with it. It's the perception of it, Mr. Thomas-Symonds.
Well, no, I think that we came into our office, we had the independent pay review bodies had been set up on public sector pay, the process put in train by the last government. They had done absolutely nothing in terms of having funds available to actually meet what was recommended. The independent recommendation was 5.5%, and we met it. I would suggest that was a highly reasonable thing to do, and very much in line with Labour values. But also, let me just say about this black hole, because it's so important. If we do not take action in terms of filling this black hole, and we put the stability of the economy at risk, it will happen again as with Liz Truss, where it's working people that pay the price, and we will not allow that to happen.
But there's another disconnect as well, which I think might explain why Keir Starmer's approval rating is tanking since he took office. It's the same with the prison release scheme, isn't it? There's a degree of sort of hypocrisy at the heart of Keir Starmer being Mr. Law and Order, yet at the same time releasing these prisoners. And now we learn that one of these offenders sexually assaulted someone within an hour of release. So if any other of these criminals who have been released early go on to commit more crimes, will Labour take responsibility and apologise to the victims?
There were no good options on prisons when we came to office, Camilla, because if we hadn't taken any action and carried on as the previous government did, you'd literally have had a situation where judges would not have been able to send serious, violent and sexual offenders to prison because there would have been no places for them. And I'm sure you can appreciate the extraordinary risk to public safety that would have presented if people would have known going to prison they wouldn't be sent there. We were left with an absolute shambles of a position, frankly, where the prisons were bursting at the seams. Again, we've had to introduce the situation where prisoners are released at 40% of their sentence. We're excluding from that people sentenced for violent offences for 4 years or more. Those sexual offenders, domestic abuse offenders. But you just mentioned the individual case. Anyone who is released is still on licence and can be recalled to prison. But again, Camilla, this is not a decision we wanted to be in a position to make. We'd like to have actually, and I've shadowed various justice roles over the years. I can remember the government promising, to build 20,000 more prison places back in 2021. They had the money to do it. Their own ineptitude, they didn't build the places. Had they done so, we wouldn't be in the position we are today.